Today, we're drafting anime teams, but with a twist. Every character that's drafted will be decided by RNG. We have two teams, the heroes and the villains. And both of these teams will be drafting random anime characters and voting to choose what role said character is best fit for on their respective teams. Ignore the team names, okay? They're literally just arbitrary team names. Team hero can draft villains and team villain can draft heroes. It's all about what the bot randomly gives them. Yeah, I'm just gonna re-record that off stream. Let's get into it though. Starting off with the heroes. The heroes. Okay. The heroes have drafted Mikey as their first character. Now what they're gonna do, they're gonna choose a number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. They'll vote, and those numbers will correspond with what slot they want to put this character in. And it looks like they're pretty unanimously starting off with going for leader, which honestly I would agree with. There's a lot of characters in this box that are better attackers than Mikey, despite him kind of being at the top of his verse. But that boy can lead. He did lead a whole gang. So Mikey is leader. I can see that. I can see that. Let's see who the villains roll. Okay, we got Kirishima. Kirishima, I think it's pretty obvious where Kirishima would go. His whole thing is, you know, kind of blocking, being a defender, being a wall. He's probably one of the best defenders you can get just in terms of being a pure defender, right? Because we're not just looking at what characters are the strongest, we're looking at what characters fit their role best and awarding points from there. So it looks like Team Villains is going with Kirishima as their defender. Heroes next role. Okay, heroes are coming out the rip with some pretty insane luck. Gilgamesh on roll 2. Gilgamesh on roll 2 is sort of insane. And it looks like heroes are putting the king of heroes as their attacker. And yeah, I can kind of see why they would go with that. You're going to be hard pressed to find a better attacker than Gilgamesh. Let's see if the villains can pull something even on that level. Okay, that's not horrible. Joker from Fire Force. That's not bad. I can see some places where Joker would fit really well into this draft. Granted, I don't know the full extent of what his abilities are. I know Fire Force characters get a little crazy later into the series, so yeah, it's hard to say. Joker is pretty damn smart. It looks like villains have locked in Joker as their strategist, and I could see that. I feel like that's probably the best place to put Joker. Joker, if I remember correctly from the first couple seasons, was like a scientist, esoteric sort of mad scientist type that was kind of doing a lot of stuff in the background. I don't really know where his character ended up because I never finished Fire Force, but I do remember him being very smart and kind of a schemer. So I could see him as a strategist. Let's see what the heroes get. Okay. We got a couple My Hero characters on the board now. All right, looks like heroes are mostly going support for 𝙏𝙖𝙡. I see some defender. All right, heroes have locked in 𝙏𝙧 as their support. And I can see that. 𝙏𝙧 all around is pretty good. He has the ability to cut off quirks. So low-key, if we're going purely off of these teams right now, 𝙏𝙧 is support. Kind of cancels out the villain's defender, who relies on a quirk to use his defense. But yeah, overall, 𝙏𝙧 as a support, he low-key was a support main, right? Having 𝙏𝙧 on the battlefield when like Shigaraki was squabbling and stuff like that was essential support. And even once he was gone, even once he couldn't be on the battlefield anymore, they just had Monoma copy his shit. It becomes sort of an 𝙏𝙧 part 2. So yeah, 𝙏𝙧 is support. That's fire. That's fire. Let's see if the villains can get something on that level. Hey, if you're enjoying this video, you should consider checking out my Patreon, where I have my full unedited reactions for videos like this one. I'm also offering seasonals that we don't cover on the channel and Patreon exclusive content. So if you want more content or just a way to support the channel, check it out. Okay, hold on. This might be interesting. Asta, the main character of Black Clover. This, depending on how the villains play this could be interesting. Right now, it looks like the villains are throwing him in attacker. All right, I'm gonna give villains 5 more seconds. Okay, villains have put Asta up against Gilgamesh as their attacker. We're going to talk on that more soon when we do the scoring. But it looks like villains are back in the game. They really needed a strong attacker, and the bot the bot gave them just that. Let's see what the heroes pull. Let's see if the heroes can pull another strong pull. A lot of My Hero characters. We got Kaminari as either your strategist or your defender. Yeah, it looks like the heroes are pretty unanimously going for defender. Let's lock that in. Dinky Kaminari is your defender. Not horrible. He has AoE. He can affect a large range of space at a time. Because honestly, especially if we're saying you're holding down like a large area, a fort, a castle, something like that, Dinky as a defender isn't horrible. A lot of My Hero characters in this draft, out of pure coincidence. There's 369 characters in this box total, and they're pulled from randomly. So the fact that we have 3 characters from the same show, from the same classroom, is kind of crazy. All right, let's see what the villains pull. 𝙏𝙖𝙡. This isn't bad at all. This isn't bad at all. This is a very strong character. The best fairy tale character, if I do say so myself. Not a high bar, but looks like the villains are going leader, and I can see it. All right, this is pretty close. The heroes need a strategist, which is hard to find. It's hard to find a good strategist, and Joker is pretty damn smart. Villains, their only open role is support. You can really throw anyone in support. Support is a very flexible role. So really, this next role for heroes, they need a huge brain. I don't. This is JoJo's character. I don't know how smart or not smart this character is. Y'all gonna have to tap me in. I don't really know how intelligent this character is. But we gonna lock him in. Let's see who the villain's role is their support. Again, Aizawa is basically the peak of support. So we'll see if villains can even, you know, they have to pull some insane support to even still be in the game. Okay. 𝙏𝙖𝙡, generally good support, you know, a little bit of extra attack power, but not much of a supporter compared to being an attacker. Let's see what we got. I'm gonna start at the bottom and work my way up. For support, I gotta give it to the heroes. Aizawa is about as strong as you can get as far as support. And if you take into account the fact that he can literally cancel out the villain's defense in these exact matchups, Aizawa's support, very powerful, very useful. I'm giving that point to the heroes. Now the defenders, ignoring the fact that Kirishima could have his power canceled out by Aizawa, the defenders, I'm gonna have to give that to the villains. Dinky isn't a horrible character to have holding down your fort, having defending you. However, not only can he hurt his allies in the process, but if we're talking about the My Hero verse, Kirishima is the defender. That's like his whole thing. He's the hard guy, the unbreakable. You know, his whole thing is defense. He is, again, narratively the defender. So I'm gonna give that point to the villains. Now this, I don't even want to go back into that Asta Gilgamesh shit, bro. We can sit here for the next 30 years arguing whether or not Asta's anti-magic can cancel out Gil's noble phantasm. I'll give y'all Gilgamesh. Strategist, Gyro versus Joker. I don't know much about Gyro, but I'm probably gonna give it to Joker because I know, knowing JoJo, even if Gyro does happen to be a strategist, it's gonna be some like JoJo's bullshit strategy, bro. And so like, yeah, we kind of gotta hit the JoJo tax. Every JoJo's character is a strategist when they need to be. However, Joker is kind of explicitly written to be like a strategist type. So I'm giving that to the villains as well. Now we have 𝙏𝙖𝙡 versus Mikey as leaders. This is hard because both of them have pretty strong leadership feats. Mikey was a gang leader. That was his whole thing. He was a gang leader. His, you know, narrative role is leader, but I feel like 𝙏𝙖𝙡 is kind of like the de facto fairy tale guild leader if you take out like Natsu. She's like almost like a vice captain, I feel like. I'm gonna have to give it to the villains simply because Mikey is a effective leader when he's leading kids and, you know, regular gang members. However, 𝙏𝙖𝙡 is basically, yeah, what 𝙏𝙖𝙡 is saying. 𝙏𝙖𝙡 is basically a military commander, bro. We're looking at a Yakuza member, a gang leader, versus like a military vice commander. Meaning that villains have got this round because they won leader, strategist, and defender. All right, so far it's 1-0 villains. Villains have won the first round. Let's see if the heroes can get a win on the board, with their first role being okay. Getting a good amount of fake characters today. Rin is the hero's first character, and it looks like there's a pretty broad spread We got summon strategist, summon attacker, and summon support. All right, Rin is support. I can see that. She has a pretty, from what I've seen so far, she has a pretty broad range of mage craft that does a bunch of different things. You know, just a lot. She can do a lot. She's useful in a lot of situations, you know? Like a Swiss Army knife. Let's see who the villains get for their first roll of the round. Okay. 𝙏𝙖𝙡. Villains, where are we putting 𝙏𝙖𝙡 at? It looks like villains have chosen to lock in 𝙏𝙖𝙡 as their support. All right, let's see who the heroes get next. Okay. 𝙏𝙖𝙡, that's a strong roll right there. 𝙏𝙖𝙡 could be decent in most of the roles that they have left, but it looks like they're going pretty overwhelmingly for attacker. So I'm gonna lock that roll in. And heroes now have 𝙏𝙢 as their attacker. Let's see if villains can draft someone that can take 𝙏𝙢. That'll be interesting to see. Your Forger. Okay, so like Your Forger is weird, bro. She kind of a gag character, bro. I don't know if I want to consider her peak human strength or like a demigod, you know? Villains got to figure out where they're going to put her. They're going attack. Oh man, now I'm going to have the gag character debate. Okay, that's going to be an interesting discussion. Let's see who the heroes get next. A lot of JJK characters. Heroes have drafted Yuji Itadori. Looks like they're going pretty heavy defender for Yuji. And I can see that Yuji is a tank. He's a strong body. Yeah, that's a defender. That's a very strong defender right there. It'll probably be hard pressed to find a better one. Let's see if the villains can get a leader, a strategist, or a defender that'll turn the tides in their direction. Okay, Bakugo. Oh, this is interesting. Either a defender, a strategist, or a leader. Okay, let's see what the villains go with. Villains have locked Bakugo as their defender. Interesting choice. All right, let's see who the heroes get. They're looking for a leader or a strategist. And they got a leader and a strategist. Wow. This is an amazing leader and amazing strategist. Crollo as a strategist. Yo. This is kind of a crazy team the heroes are stacking up right now. I'm not gonna hold you. Villains, y'all need like a peak strategist. I don't know if it gets better than Crollo, period, but y'all are gonna need a peak strategist and a peak leader to even touch the heroes team right now. We'll see if that is something that's in y'all cards. Y'all got bro from this edgy ass anime. I mean, he's kind of a strategist. Looks like villains are locking in sniper at strategist. Okay, so now it's a battle of the leaders. Who can get the better leader? I'm not trying to call the score early, but it looks like the heroes are pretty healthily in the lead. Can the villains at least beat them in leader? You gotta show us something, villains. This isn't a horrible picket leader, low-key. This isn't a horrible picket leader. This is not bad. This is not bad at all. In terms of pure leadership, hey, that's a lot. That's a lot. Villains, you're gonna need someone crazy. Villains, you might wanna start praying now. Hold on. That's not a horrible leader. Low-key, that is technically a queen. I think villains might have just saved themselves from a sweep. If we're looking at leaders, Soma versus Sailor Moon. I'm gonna give it to Sailor Moon. She has more leadership feats. She's not a perfect leader, but she has more leadership feats and she has more leadership feats in battle than the nigga who be in the kitchen. The rest of it is pretty straightforward, right? Crollo, that's about as good a strategist as you're getting. I'm gonna give that to the heroes. That's 1-to-1 villains heroes. Attacker, I mean, yes, Yor did split a tennis ball into fragments with a tennis racket. And she did do a bunch of like, you know, gag character shit, like throwing stuff into space orbit and whatnot. Hold on, this is kind of hard. I'm gonna give it to the villains. Only because I feel like heroes pretty heartily won both defender and support. But I'm gonna put Yor over you. Do we not remember Yor throwing shit into orbit? Like, I'm not even trying to rage bait, bro. I'm not trying to rage bait. It is 1-to-1 heroes and villains. Let's move on to the next round to see who's going to pull away and take the lead. Let's see who the heroes roll first. Okay. Byakuya, first role. Okay, it seems heroes are pretty split where they want to put them, but it looks like they're split between strategist and leader. All right, Byakuga's a leader. I'm not too tapped in with Bleach, but he is a captain, right? Like, he has that leadership feat of essentially being a war captain, correct? Okay, cool, good to know. Let's see who the villains get as their first role. Okay, 𝙏𝙖𝙡, not abysmal. There's some places where you could put him. Okay, it looks like they're having 𝙏𝙏 hold down the fort as their defender, which I can't be mad at it. Let's see who the heroes get in their next role. They have gotten a slice of life character, 𝙏𝙖𝙡 from Rent a Girlfriend. They have gotten a rental girlfriend as their next role. Looks like they're going support. They're putting her on the bench. All right, 𝙏𝙖𝙡 locked in as the hero support. Let's see who the villains get. Low-key, 𝙏𝙖𝙡 being in support is low-key like a free space. You can put just about anybody in support now, and it would outweigh it's a free win. Kobeni from Chainsaw Man. Looks like villains are going 5. All right, Kobeni in support. Low-key heroes gave up a free space with that 𝙏𝙖𝙡 in support. They got unlucky and got a slife character. Let's see if they can make it up. Askeladd, Vinland Saga. Okay, this is a good role. This is a good role. Hold on. Heroes are pretty overwhelmingly placing Askeladd in strategist, with a couple people saying defender. Askeladd as a strategist is amazing. I'm not gonna hold you. One of the best strategists in this box, probably. Even though he's not a good attacker and defender, compared to a lot of the superhumans that this bot can select, as a strategist, he's up there. So once again, heroes are, apart from 𝙏𝙖𝙡, building up a pretty solid team. See who the villains get. Okay. Ken Kaneki. Now you gotta be smart about where you place him. The Incoming Glaze, yes, Incoming Glaze, it's the greatest character of all time. Man, stop playing with Ken. It looks like they're putting Kaneki as an attacker. I can see that. I can see that. All right, villains have selected Kaneki as their attacker. Okay, low-key, villains might be able to take this, depending on the attacker and defender that heroes get. Let's see who the heroes get. They need 2 powerful characters, since attacker and defender are their only slots open. Okay. Wow. I thought villains might have a chance to take the attacker slot, but wow, heroes came back with a pivotal role, to be frank. This role has given them Minato Namikaze, and it looks like they are locking him in as their attacker. Villains need a hell of a leader and a hell of a strategist. Let's see if they can pull it. Laios, okay. He's a good leader. Laios from Delicious in Dungeon. You know, he leads his crew through a dungeon. He be making food. He knows a lot about monsters. Heroes, you need a defender. Villains, you need a strategist. Let's see who y'all roll. Nico Robin. I mean, there's only one place you can put her. That, honestly, not horrible defense at all. Let's lock that in, and let's see if villains can get a strategist as over Askeladd, which, yeah, I doubt it, but it's possible, I guess. Nah. It's looking like the heroes, well, let's see. All right, villains obviously take support. I'm gonna say heroes take defense, honestly. Robin is the ability to put body parts in any part of, like, whatever is near her, whatever's in her eyesight, even things that are far away from her. She can lock down a fort much better than 𝙏𝙏𝙡 can, even with this speed. Attacker, as much as I love my boy Ken. Well, hold on. Let me spit something real quick. No. Okay, obviously, we're giving heroes attacker with Minato. As much as I love Ken, that already puts them at a 2-1 lead, and with Askeladd being the better strategist, that puts him at a 3-1. We don't even got to go into who's the better leader between these two, because I don't know enough about Bleach to talk on him. And I know Laios is a solid leader himself, though. So, you know, for the love of the game, I'll just give villains that point. But they still lose 3-2, giving the heroes a 2-1 lead total. Heroes, first roll of the game. Okay. Dio. Wow. That's a lot of strength. They're tied between him being a strategist and an attacker. I'm gonna give him 10 seconds to sort that out. And I'm locking the roll in now. Yeah, I mean, I don't have much to say about this. JoJo's character as an attacker is almost always broken as hell. All right, let's see what the villains get. Villains need something kind of fire. They basically already lost the attack segment. Y'all got a Code Geass slice of life side character. hey, it's not over yet. It looks like heroes kind of have 2 W's already. I mean, she is solid support. There is worse support you can have than this. Like she was on the student council. She was on the swim team. Like she, you know, she was a good person. Okay, Shirley as support. That's not horrible. Like she's a very supportive person. Let's see what the heroes get. They've been on a very strong good luck streak. My brothers. Choso. Yeah, that's great support, bro. That is great support. That is AoE. That is distance. That is close combat. And someone that can raise morale. And I mean, like we said earlier, right? Choso's whole character is that he wants to support his brothers, bro. He might be the best support character in this whole box. Heroes are getting amazingly lucky with their roles lately. But it's not over yet. It's not over yet. Villains, you can still pull it back. All you need is a couple good rolls in a row. Okay, hey, Sabo is not bad. I mean, he's under Dragon as the leader of the Revolutionary Army, right? Y'all throw him in Defender? Okay, I mean, sure. Let's see who the heroes get. Can they keep up their good luck streak? Okay, that's weird, actually. Baki, interesting. Baki is a strategist. Okay, we're gonna have to see about that. Depending on who the villains get, that might not be a good pick for strategists. Baki is a great one-on-one fighter and has great battle IQ, but I don't know if he's very tactical outside of, you know, being knowing when to punch and kick. I would have put him at defender, but you know, let's see. Maybe the villains can come back after that pick. Rudeus. Don't worry, there's no kids on the heroes team. Rudeus Grey Rat from Mushoku Tensei. This isn't a horrible role, honestly. This isn't a horrible role. All right. Villains went Rudeus Strategist. Probably the best place you could have put, the best place for him to be put. He is very smart and pretty good tactician too. So yeah, this is a good pick right here. This is a good pick right here. All right, let's see who the heroes get. They're looking for a defender and a leader. Revi, okay. She is from, oh my God, how am I forgetting? That's like my goat. Black Lagoon. She's pretty compy, yeah, she's compy. Now, I'm not gonna lie. I personally would have put Revi as, maybe as a leader. She would have been a good strategist. I don't know about defender, especially now that she's going against someone with superpowers. Y'all are low-key banking on a great leader. If you would have put Revi at leader, I think she has enough leadership qualities, like guts, that she could have passed as a leader, even if she isn't, you know, explicitly a leader within her own show. However, if villains can get a great leader, y'all might have sold. It low-key comes down to the villain's leader. Let's see, villains, y'all better pray. Y'all better pray to the bot. Villains need either a universal attacker or just a supreme leader. Let's see it. Hold on. Not the worst leader. If we're going off leadership feats, isn't he like he's under the captain, right? So do heroes want to sacrifice their attacker and gamble that they get an amazing leader? Or do they want to gamble that heroes will get a shitty leader and they get, you know, Katakuri winning the leader battle? Because as a canonical general, vice captain, he does have leadership feats. I'm gonna give them 5 seconds to decide. All right, and we're locking. Okay. Vice Captain Katakuri. Heroes, if they want to take this, they need someone who leadership scales. We might have created a new version of power scaling, bro. We need someone who leadership scales over a vice captain. Ooh. He is a captain. Low-key. He's not, isn't he? He's a captain, but I kind of agree with the villain saying he's not the best leader. However, you could say the same about Katakuri. We don't really see either of them leading large groups of people and doing like active leadership things. But, you know, our whole argument for Katakuri was that he was a vice captain, right? That was our whole argument for him being a leader. So if we're using that argument consistently, a captain would outscale him from a leadership perspective. So unless villains pull Son Goku or like Son Goku, like, yeah, this is probably game over. Y'all got a chef. Y'all got a team chef. It's 2-1 heroes, right? 3-1? All right, let's play the 4. Let's play the 4 like a NBA final. Villains need to have that, you know how the anime villains be having that like mid-series power-up? Or like that power-up at the last 2/3 of the series? Like when Shigaraki went and got all for one? Y'all need that level of lock-in right now, bro. Y'all need to completely change the tides. Let's see what the heroes get. Did they just play the same song twice? Potential Man. Heroes have rolled Potential Man. All right, yeah, it looks like heroes are throwing him in support and they're locking him into support. That is great support. So many powers, he has a little something for everything. Let's see what the villains get for their first roll. Okay, Annie. We're giving her the female Titan. That's not a bad roll at all. All right, I'm gonna lock in 5 seconds. Okay, Annie is Defender. Just based off the size that she can turn into a giant 50-foot person, that is not a bad defense right there. She can hold down the fort. Again, imagine this like you have 2 different castles, right? And your defender has to protect your castle. Yeah. That's some good ass defense right there on the low. Let's see if heroes can beat it. And she can crystallize. I forgot about that. Mera Leolona from Black Clover. Damn, they getting crack ass characters today. That is one hell of an attacker right there. Great leader too. Good leaders are harder to come by than good attackers. Heroes went with Mera for their attacker. That's gonna be tough to beat. All right, let's see what the villains got. Oh, wow. Okay. This is not bad. Ooh, that. Okay, support. We're gonna have to have a long discussion about this support if it comes down to it, because these are like 2 amazing supports. Denji. Y'all go ahead, throw him in strategist, bro. Nigga gonna throw away y'all whole squabble to see Annie naked, bro. Yeah, between leader, strategist, and defender, there's probably only one good place to put him. He still might sell out y'all whole shit just if Annie gives him attention. I think that's a L y'all have to take right there. All right, villains have locked Denji into defender. Heroes rather have locked Denji into defender. Let's see if the villains can pull something. Who the fuck is this? Oh, he's the protagonist of The Climber. This guy. He's the protagonist of The Climber. I don't know how he slipped into here. He climbs mountains. He's pretty gutsy. He's also powerless. This might have been a sell. Well, not yet. Is he particularly intelligent? I don't know. I haven't read enough of The Climber to know. You gotta be pretty smart to be a climber. Climbing itself takes a fair amount of strategy. You know, you're making the best out of a bad hand, I suppose. Maybe the heroes their luck will expire and they'll get even worse a hand. Niggas got the Strategist of Doom. Heroes have locked Johann Liebert into Strategist. Up against a mountain climber. Villains, y'all need a crazy attacker and a crazy leader. I can't even say or now. Hold on. That's a big roll right there. This is a general, right? This is like a commander. Hold on. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and lock the roll in. That's a big roll right there. That is a big roll. S-Death for the villains. Heroes, you need an amazing leader. Your villains might still got this. Luichido as leader. That's not it. That's not it. Luichido as your leader is not the play. Now the question becomes, it all comes down to this villain attacker. If villains get someone who can outdo one of the strongest characters in a very strong verse, you might need to like well your luck together, make a little spirit bomb. Pray to the Teddy Slump bot, bruh. Let's see it. Well, pretty good strategist, a decent leader, but as an attacker against Melee Alona, a super wizard, yeah, I don't know about that. Hold on, let's do the scoring though. Let's actually do the scoring. Villains take leader for sure. Heroes take strategist for sure. That's 1-1. Heroes take attacker for sure. That's 2-1. I'm gonna say villains take defender. So actually it does come down to Megami versus Aizawa, bro. Megami has a deeper bag, but Aizawa has support feats. This isn't as much about who has the stronger bag as it is who is better at playing the role that they're in. And here's what I'm gonna say. And Heroes, you might not like this. And this really does come down to some potential man Megami ass shit. Megami has all the tools needed to be great support. But when do we see him actually be great support? Aizawa was like the linchpin piece to taking down the strongest villains in My Hero. So low key, and I'm not even trying to meme right now, it does kind of become a potential man thing where it's like, yo, Megami has all the tools in his bag needed to make this inarguably him, but we never see them used. I think I'm taking this to sudden death. This sudden death round will determine whether the villains stay in the game. What we're gonna do 2 roles, and the role that you get is automatically a support. We're in overtime. We're gonna do the hero support first, and then the villain support. Okay, Yuzuriha. That actually, I didn't even know she was in this box. That is an amazing support, actually. That's a whole shinobi right there. A support shinobi. She is pretty strong support. All right, let's see what the villains get. Congratulations to the heroes. So heroes have won 4-1 against the villains. And yeah, that was that.